pedal here from Sound Dust with the delightful, and that's delightfully good and bad Violin Toolkit. And this is part of the bad range, which is actually kind of quite good. The whole point of this is that it's not your madly, deeply sampled, multi-layered, blah-de-blah-de-blah-de, although it kind of is. So Bad Violin Toolkit is a pool of samples of a beautifully played violin, every single note, with 6 layers of velocity per note. And what's special about it is the character. It's not perfect. We don't want perfect. We want something interesting and a bit different. And we want something that's inspiring. And that's what the Bad Violin Toolkit is all about. So you get 2 instruments that share the same sample pool, more or less. We've got the drift-based instrument here. There you go. And we've got the grains-based instrument. The whole point of the drift is it's quite warbly, quite tapey. You've got the tremolo controls as well, so you can do interesting rhythmic things. It's got the large and handy morphing control here, which goes through different EQ settings. There's 1 knob control of the ADSR here. And then over here, 50 plus custom reverb textures. And then here's the fabulous grains engine, which allows you to warp and stretch and shrink audio and chop it up into little pieces in real time. Also adds in an extra layer, the bottom layer here. This is an ADSR and this is a volume. And that's a wibble wobble. And this is an extra Cole Legno layer, which complements the more smooth bowing. So you've got kind of snappy attack and gentle smoothness. But let's just play with the darn thing. So it's basically a really multi-purpose violin. So this is just playing the drift engine at the moment. 1 note, different velocity levels. That's aftertouch. And here, there's always something, there's 60 odd presets, and there's always something on the mod wheel. And there it goes. And the mod wheel always does something, and it's generally involving self-oscillating delays, because they sound great. And it's a great way of making builds and swells. We all like a bit of swelling, don't we? So we've got the full usable range of the violin, from the G at the bottom right up to the D at the top. I say usable. Or usable. Is an interesting violin. And it does things that a violin shouldn't do. That's the whole point, really. It's the whole point of Sound Dust. Do the thing that it shouldn't do. Here's your EQ. You can immediately EQ to a whole load of complicated EQ possibilities. Here is your ADSR. So you can do stuff like that. I've left in, there's a bit of an attack on the original sound as well, so you can then cut it down to that, or you can go all the way for slow. Or you can go all the way, and you get this interesting reverse tape kind of thing, which I really like. As you can hear, there's some open air. So even with that, you've got a lot of possibilities. Small spaces, small bright space. You've got devices, so you can put it through a bad radio. It goes 100% wet. So that's just the wet signal, obviously. And various amps. Reverse is interesting. So you get that backwards in varying speeds. bounce is delay kind of things, which have different effects, like that. That's like a long first reflection kind of a thing. Springs, it's an actual Putney, one of those terrible toys. We've got some space echoes. You can go 100% radiophonic workshop, and then just mad effects, which do crazy stuff, which sometimes you're going to want. Stick it through a snare, stick it through a cowbell. Interesting stuff can be had. Anyway, let's just go kind of medium size. Let's go to a normal. So just the whole point is, this is all automatable. Over here we've got grist for adding horrible stuff. Add in the mod wheel. We've got Warren Ellis. And also, the point of drift is the drift section, which is a chaotic and very disturbed tape-like vibrato, warble, whatever you want to call it, and it mimics the drift and obviously the drift, the wow and the flutter, with different amounts, different speeds. But the point is, it's quite erratic as tape, warble and flutter can be, and every snapshot has different form of drift going on. It's differently programmed, very cleverly, obviously. So you can, for instance, then go to really big and daft here with burble. Add in some mud wheel. Which is rather nice. Then you've also got two tremolo engines with positive and negative. Go that way, goes the other way around. It's the phase is different. And you can also control the pulse width. But you've got two of them. We're building lovely. Control click puts it back to nothing. Volume and velocity here, so you can right click and automate that as well, so you can do volume swells as you want them. Pitch bend here is how far the pitch bend goes. And over here we've got mad legato. Now this is a bad violin, so it doesn't have amazing legato stuff going on. It has some mad fake legato. Kind of Christabel Tapia de Veer style legato. Because sometimes you need that. Portamento is how fast it goes there. See, who would know? Who would know? And who would care? Girth. is a bit much, but also one of those things that sometimes you just need. Let's actually take that back to polyphonic. So you can make violin-based supersaws. Give it a bit of wobble. Give it a bit of interesting wobble. I'm not going to go through the presets or the snapshots, but they all have something different going on. They've all got messing around in the okay, let's do good violin mod wheel kaput. They've all got something happening that's different. So the mod wheel does that. And every time you see the background move, that's because the mod wheels move. So you can basically break. You can break your violin, which you sometimes probably would want to do. So in each of these snapshots, the whole internal architecture is slightly different. You go to hazed, there's going to be different things going on with the mod wheel and within the very instrument itself. You can do that with the mod wheel. It's a violin, but it's not a violin, and that's the whole point of Sound Dust, and especially the Bad Violin Toolkit. So if you need to know all that stuff, click on the RTFM and it shows you exactly what I've just showed you. That's it. It's simple, and it's the whole point. It's supposed to be simple. That's why it's a Bad Violin Toolkit. Let's jump over here to the grains. Now this is, it's the same samples, but also with another sample set in there as well. So the top layer here is the bowed violin. There you go. Oh, and the bottom layer is a Collegno violin, which is kind of brutally bashed. So you get that nasty, lovely, snappy attack. And then you get into the play speed and grain size, and you can make interesting things happen like that. We can do crazy stuff. Oh, we've still got some mod wheel on. So that's play speed. And you can get this mad bowing. Which is rather lovely. This control here is mad burble. And then the other pucks, that's a bit of reverb. This is a low and high pass filter. So we're doing things to a violin that you shouldn't really do. We've got attack, decay, etc. here. And this is an EQ. Plus and negative, and everything reads out there. If you take your hands off it, the explainers go. But once you've wiggled one of these, let's see if you've just loaded it, that'll be blank until you hit a note, and that shows you the sample you're playing. And then once you wiggle one of these, it shows you what they're doing. And of course, they wouldn't be complete without that. So we've got a randomifier. You're never quite sure. And then you can put it all back again. And the same as before, there's less presets here because you can basically do what you want. There's so much possibility within the engine, but there are some kind of deep dives, and these are all different. And what you've got is some detuned ones. And on the demo, on that speedback, on the demo, you'll hear some of the detuned stuff. And you can can also detune it here, because it surprisingly, the violin goes. It's kind of great. Just badly detuned. And as with the drift version, the snapshots all have different architecture and different things on the mod wheel, and possibly different tuning on the inside as well. And you can, of course, play them both together in a kind of stack. Sort out the volume here. Possibly not the best example. Oh, even that one's being weird. That's why it's being weird. Let's go to a nearly cello. So that's another detuned one. So it's a violin, but not as we know it. That's it. It's small. Well, it's about 700 meg. It's small. It's not expensive. You can just throw it onto something and quickly create an unlikely string thing that you weren't expecting to do. And that's the point of it all. So that's it. Thank you very much. Sound Dust Bad Violin Toolkit. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will speak to you soon. Bye-bye.